Welcome to this episode of Across the Bifrost, the Mighty Thor podcast, where on each and every episode we explore the world of Marvel's Mighty Thor. I am your host, Ryan Doze, and I am without the members of the Warriors 3 today. So because of what's in the issue we're talking about today, Immortal Thor 15, decided to bring in our ringer, our expert, our own, kind of in the ATB universe, our own version of the Enchantress. We decided to bring her back on Alex's back to explain all of the Amora goodness that we got in the latter half of this issue. Alex, needless to say, this issue filled you with so much joy, so much excitement, so much hype. First impression of this issue.
Oh my God. So I had read the summary for this issue, like when they dropped all the summaries. And so I knew she was going to be in it. Now, am I a bit jaded that we didn't get at least a variant cover for her? A little bit, but we're not going to talk about it. We get a variant cover for issue 17.
Yes,
but it is beautiful. But yeah, I was super excited because it felt like my expectations were actually met, because it's like, oh, Amora and Thor are going to have this sit down chat. And that's exactly what it was.
Right.
And some more. So, it's just such a good issue.
Well, and I think what was kind of interesting is last time when we were talking about what was happening in the kind of the night dimension with Nyx, the Night Mother, and Zeus, and last issue was so much of it was literally that clash of the Titans that we were promised way back when you said that the summaries dropped. We saw Thor and Zeus go mano a mano, and Thor ends up, just gathering all of Zeus's power. And we're like, oh my gosh, this is so epic in the big fight feel kind of vibe of a comic. And this issue, we kind of left off on a to be continued, because we saw the wheel turning, we saw the wheel emblazoned on Thor's face, and we're like, okay, well, we've got more stuff to figure out in that story. But the cover of this issue is Thor soaring over the landscape of Asgard.
Which is so beautiful. Alex Ross, sir.
Sir, please.
How? He's like doing like several different comic covers for several different runs. Like Fantastic Four, Doctor Strange. And it's just, it's so beautiful, and it just looks insane. Oh my God.
So, you know what? Off the cuff, I think this is maybe a good question to ask, because you are an Alex Ross fan and his covers are just so easy to enjoy. What have been some of your favorite Immortal Thor covers so far?
Well,
yeah, what was it? 11 or 12 is the Amora cover, or maybe
it's 9.
9.
It's
okay.
issue 9. Yeah, it's issue 9 where she's ripping up the first appearance of Thor, which every comic book fan saw and went, "Ha!" It's
Steve Rogers in the first Avengers movie. It's like, oh, I got that reference.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. I actually went to for a future, for MegaCon in Orlando in February. I kind of want to get a facsimile of the first appearance of Thor, and because I always cosplay as Amora, I want to rip it and carry it around at a convention with a bunch of comic book nerds, and they're just like, what?
And just do it to see who gets the reference, because 95% of the people probably won't get the reference, but you'll find that one person and they'll be like, oh my gosh, it's the Thing from The Thing.
Well, in recent years, this past year, I think because a lot of Immortal Thor is really, really going popular. It's Immortal Thor is everyone, even non-Thor fans, are going crazy for this run, as they should, because it's a good run. But in the past, whenever I've dressed as Amora, it's always, oh my God, Polaris. And I'm like, Polaris isn't blonde.
Polaris, my ass.
You're at a comic book convention. And you're like, oh, you're dressed as Polaris? You obviously don't know who Polaris
Well,
is.
and it's like I can, what are, you could even fire back with like, oh, you haven't shaved in a long time and you smell like BO. Are you cosplaying as a comic book fan? Or is that just like your
Yeah.
normal vibe?
Yeah, no. But like this past year, everyone that stopped my dad and I, because he always cosplays as Kingpin, that's his thing. Um,
I have seen those pictures and he does a great Kingpin.
yeah. And everyone that stopped us was like, oh my God, Enchantress and Kingpin. And I'm like, finally,
Finally.
vindication.
Finally.
Finally. I had one woman who stopped us for like a photograph because she runs like a cosplay photo page.
Okay.
And I don't think she ever posted the photo, but whatever. But
It's
she
okay.
looks at me, she's like, that's an incredibly comic accurate cosplay. I'm like, thank you. My feet are killing me because I'm in heels. But thank you nonetheless. We should probably get back to the comic now.
Well, I was just gonna say that this Alex Ross cover is
Yeah.
so good, and I think there's only a few. All the covers are great. I'm not saying that
Hmm.
one of them is infinitely superior, but like
Well, the
the
Amora one is superior to
well,
both of them.
yes, yes, and I love how on issue nine's cover they also have the Immortal Thor masthead ripping in half as well.
Hmm.
So they keep the design consistent throughout. I wonder if our buddy Joe Sabino had something to do with that. I like Immortal Thor number 5, the one with the Thor core on it, and Tyrannos
Oh yeah.
behind the masthead. That's phenomenal. I really enjoyed the cover to Immortal Thor 14, the Thor and Zeus clashing. But Immortal Thor 15 feels like if you removed the masthead, it feels like something that would easily translate to like a poster on your
Oh
wall.
yeah.
It's so beautiful and grand and big, and it feels like a Thor comic. We'll put it that way. And I could
Yeah.
easily see someone like a Jack Kirby or a Walt Simonson doing their own take on this image because it's so quintessentially Asgard, and it's nice to be back in Asgard. So let's go into kind of our synopsis for the issue, and we'll I think our breakdown in this, Alex, and you tell me if you're thinking different on this. Our breakdown should probably be part A, part B, because this
Yeah.
is very much a part one, part two story with the
Hmm.
closing of our Nyx Zeus Hercules story, and then something very important happens to Loki, and then we go into an entirely different story when Thor returns to Asgard, and Sif lets him know that his appointment book has already got someone in it, which I absolutely loved that interaction as well. So this issue is called The Return of the King, Immortal Thor 15, and our creative team that we're still kind of getting used to a little bit. It has only been a couple of issues with Al Ewing remaining as the writer, but then Jan Bazaldua as the artist, Matt Hollingsworth as the color artist, Joe Sabino as the letterer, and Matt Wilson as the editor. We also have Michelle Marchese as the assistant editor as well. And of course, we've already talked about an Alex Ross cover that is absolutely beautiful. Alex, I haven't really gotten your thoughts on this yet, but what has been your opinion, your impression of Jan's art so far?
I warmed up to it because at first it's like you're following up Martin Coculio, and that can't be easy because his art is
Not, not an easy
phenomenal,
task.
which is like you having me on this episode directly after speaking with Walt Simonson, which I feel like is setting me up.
Oh my goodness.
Um,
You guys have to
that's a
have at
setup.
least as good of stories.
Um, which, yeah. But yeah, I think the art fits really well
Yeah.
given like the change in artists. Because usually, sometimes, like with comic books, they change an artist in the middle of a run and it can go up or down.
Yeah.
And I feel like it also, like, okay, so if anyone is familiar with the Vote Loki series, it's a
Yes.
mini series. I love it but I hate it immensely.
Hmm.
And the reason I
Yeah.
hate it is because I can't get behind the art style
Okay.
at all. Now, I've heard that Vote Loki is supposed to like mimic political cartoons. It's supposed to look like that. I cannot stand the art. And this is nothing against the artist. They did a phenomenal job. Okay, I'm not bashing the artist. I'm just saying Vote Loki is I like you see a cover of it and it's great. It's like, "Oh," and then you go into the comic, it's completely different art and
Yeah.
it just puts me off every single time that I look at it.
I think that's an
But
interesting,
yeah.
maybe a side. I think that would be an interesting side conversation sometime to have. It's like, what's a comic that you could see yourself enjoying much, much more if the art was more to your preference? Because
Yeah.
we've said this before with so many different artists, and thankfully we've in this run we've had several different versions of Thor to compare to each other. You know, Carlos Magno, Abram Robertson, and Valentina Pinti, who, by the way, is an absolutely delightful follow on Instagram. If you're out there and you're not following Valentina on Instagram, please do. And now we're getting used to Jan's art, and I will say I agree with you. It took me an issue or two because we've now had, I believe, three issues with them doing the artwork. The first one, I was kind of like, okay, am I gonna like this? The second one, I was like, okay, I'm starting to like this. And this issue, there was only a few different panels that kind of like, I don't know, I don't want to say rubbed me the wrong way, but it was almost like, huh. But then I just moved on to the next one. I will say it's something that Jan does absolutely fantastically, which is something that Martine did as well. The the big panels, the big full pages with
Yeah.
kind of in this one where the wheel is kind of taking form in his hands and he's soaring through the atmosphere. Fantastic. I believe Jan's very gifted in that. It's only something about the faces. Every so often,
Yeah.
the faces appear somewhat wide to me, which is it almost feels Romita esque in the way
Yeah.
that they do faces, which I'm not one of those that like. I'm not one of those fans that absolutely just has vitriol and nasty things to say about Romita. It just gives me a Romita vibe. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So that being said, let's jump into
Yeah.
some story here. We start off the issue where we left off last time. Thor is fighting against the power of Zeus that has been drawn into him by him not rejecting the lightning, but him taking the lightning into himself. And Zeus is a shriveled up little raisin on the floor. So we'll back to him later.
Oh.
And we see a conversation between Zeus and Nyx, where Zeus is like, "Hey, man, like you need to let the power go." And Nyx reminds him that, "Hey, if he lets the power go, it's going to go back to Zeus." Hercules asks her to help, and she's like, "No, no, no, man, I've got my own things brewing." And I love one line that Nyx says here. It says, "To me, Thor is a tiny lightning bug in the night of in a night the size of a universe." I'm like, um, you mean the guy that whipped your ass last issue?
It'd literally be like, okay.
He's a tiny lightning bug. Okay, lady, whatever. And then we see a little confrontation between Hercules and Loki, where Loki is still kind of spinning these riddles, and he's Hercules is confused by what Loki is trying to do.
Well, I mean, it's Hercules. It doesn't take a lot to confuse him.
Which is funny because Loki
No
does.
offense.
Eric, I expect your response to this.
No offense to the Hercules lovers out there, but God, he's dumber than a bag of bricks.
Ooh, I can't wait for the confrontation. We see Loki also say Hercules says, "Give me one good reason why I shouldn't knock your fool head off your shoulders." Loki responds by saying, "Because you're wiser than that, aren't you?" And
Mm,
this is where I still appreciate when classic Loki shows up in these small ways of
hmm.
taunting, being sarcastic, and throwing these little jabs in at honestly a hero like Hercules that could rip Loki apart. So we see Thor. do Thor really do the bulk of what he's going to do physically in this issue is he spins the hammer at full speed and it looks like the wheel that we have gotten so accustomed to in this run, and he uses the power of Zeus against the power of Zeus to conform it into the shape of a belt. And Alex, I have a feeling you are going to be much better at pronouncing this word. So I'm not even going to try. How would you pronounce the name of the belt?
So I'm not as I can pronounce it. It's Yolgjord.
Yolgjord? Okay.
Yeah, Yolgjord.
Okay.
And it's obviously a variation of Mengingjord, which
Yeah.
is his
Yes.
belt of strength. But I want to mention that we have this very classic Thor look with all of these more modern concepts added to it that kind
Okay.
of like elevate the Kirby look, despite, I mean, a lot of people, you can't elevate a Jack Kirby look. You can, it's okay.
You can. It is possible.
Yeah, and they've done it, and I think with this belt, it really like sells it. But yeah, so Yolgjord, I'm not sure if that's an actual thing in the mythology or Al Ewing just made that up. Um, but
Either
yeah,
way, it is serving a function of
yeah.
I can't just let Zeus's power return to him because then we're still in this dark realm and Nyx has full power here. We can't let that happen. But also Thor can't let the power of Zeus overwhelm him because then he would be kind of a loose cannon being shot off in all these different directions. Because we do see a little bit of that look in his eye where he's like, "Ah, the power! I hold the power."
My
But then
precious.
yeah, exactly, exactly. If untamed, the power would consume him. So then we see some great panels. By the way, there is the panel right where he's firing the lightning up into the air, and he's kind
Oh
of
yeah.
floating up there. But in my opinion, best Thor panel, maybe one of the best Thor panels we've gotten this run.
I await Faz's recreation.
I also await Faz's recreation. You know what, Faz? Get on that because I know you're going to listen to this right away when it drops. And if you expect me to do War Thor someday, which I may or may not do, I expect this one to happen as well. Well, Faz has special effects to make him look good. I have a camera. So at the end of this little conflict, where the belt is created around Thor, we see Thor turn on Loki, which is not uncommon throughout the history of comics. But Thor is kind of done. He's done with oh, I know that I was supposed to trust you even though you're my enemy, but I'm kind of done with you playing around in my head, and I'm done with you weaving these lies and these tales. And I'm sure we'll get into the details of that, but it ends with Loki banishing or Thor banishing Loki in this very Loki just stands there and takes it. Thor,
Yeah, it's
go
a
ahead.
really good contrast because usually if Thor like turns on Loki, like with classic Loki, he would be like, "Oh no, 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 no. You need me." Like kind of like the Weasley trickster
Right.
god that we know.
Sniveling, begging for their
Yeah.
freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, and then this Loki just accepted it. And I feel like it's because Loki might know that like this was going to happen.
You
Because
know what?
Loki is of course the Skald of stories, but we
So
have, Amora
so
that's
they're not even like bothered by this.
no.
Because eventually they know that they return back in the story. That would make total sense because in that mid page panel where Thor is just with all of his all father power, he's blasting this energy at Loki from Mjolnir. You just see kind of a little faint silhouette of Loki being swept away, and they are not moving. They're not like
Nope.
holding, trying to like put their hands up to brace, nothing, just standing there, arms actually behind their back, just very nonchalant. And then Loki's gone. So Thor's like, okay, everybody, let's head back home.
Anyways.
I
Well, anyways.
know I know that we walked through that pretty step by step, but Alex, was there Was there a part of this part A of issue 15? Was there a part that really stuck out to you, that stuck with you as you were reading this and contemplating it for our chat today?
While I was like looking over it while we were going through it, I noticed that Thor, like the way that he's drawn kind of emerging from some of the panels, specifically in the one where he's spinning the hammer and it looks like the wheel, his hammer like exceeds the panel box as well as his hand, and it kind of looks like he's like breaking a fourth wall almost.
Hmm.
And I just think that's really interesting. It's probably just artistic choice. I'm not going to think too much into it, but it does look like he's like exceeding what is going on.
I don't think that's an unfair assumption. Are you referring to the panel at the bottom of the one of those pages where his hand is reaching out over the bottom?
Yeah.
I mean, even if it is just an artistic choice and it has nothing to do with a meta narrative, it's a great artistic choice. It's
Yeah.
really, really good. The panels where Thor is cast in blue from the energy of the whatever was overcoming Zeus. I I really, really enjoy the panels where Jan draws Thor like soaring like chest forward,
Yeah.
almost like Superman, where he's floating up in the air like that, and Mjolnir is clearly not the thing that is causing him to levitate and fly, because Mjolnir is just off to the side. It's the power of this energy and this storm and swinging the hammer so hard that it starts to look like the wheel. I love the artistic choices that were made in this first half as well.
Yeah.
The
But other than that, it's like Loki's whole thing. Loki.
Right. And really, we're capping off a story that began in let's see, I mean began in 13, but really the this is the end of the second test. It's the second
Yeah.
weapon. Now we have Tormod, we have Yulgiord.
Yard.
I think that's correct. We'll go with it. And now
No.
though we switch halfway through the issue and we are back in Asgard. I'm
Yay.
I am just gonna give a really simple overview here. We return to Asgard. Sif welcomes them back, and Thor's like, hey, everyone's gonna need to be taken care of. And Sif's like, okay, we can do that. You need to know that someone's back and they need your attention. And he's like, well, okay, which Asgardian is it? It's probably just a boring matter of diplomacy. And it's like, well, remember that lady that framed you for murder a while back?
Yeah.
And I love the little line, and I'm sure we'll get into all these little lines and what they mean.
Yeah.
But I love that when Amora's there, Thor's like, Amora? And Sif's like, you didn't technically say not to let her in.
Sif was like, well, you didn't tell me not to,
You didn't tell me not to. It's
which I'm kind of glad. I'm kind of glad Al Ewing isn't like leaning into the whole like Amora and Sif don't like each other, which we'll get into like the reasoning behind why Sif isn't as adverse to Amora. But I just think it's really funny that she's kind of indifferent about her, and she's like, "Well, you didn't tell me not to let her in." So
I love that the very little that we've gotten of Sif in this run. She is definitely being portrayed as like she's the hall monitor of Asgard. She's like, okay, I don't like it, but there's not a rule on the books against it. So then, and we'll get into this, Thor and Amora have a very winding, weaving conversation. And a lot of things get brought up, a lot of feelings get shared, and it really does connect some dots that were kind of maybe not loose, but were not as highlighted as they could have been earlier on. And now we know why, because we're going to resolve it here. Before we get into the Amora conversation, though, Alex, this double page spread halfway through the book, I just have to say, I loved this page so much because the efficiency of storytelling here was on full display. Where they come back to Asgard, and I've been saying this for a few issues. I feel like I am so glad we're back in Asgard. Because
Oh, I always love it.
if Thor's going to be king, I want to see him being king. And on this page alone, he says, he's like, okay, we handled the thing we just handled. Now, hey, whatever Asgard needs of me, I'm going to go do that thing. And he's talking about diplomacy and he's talking about trying to get things back together. Hercules even asks him, hey, do you need some help with this? And he's like, no, man, you take care of your thing. I'll take care of my thing. Like, we're always going to have each other's back, but I'll go take care of this thing. I just on this double page spread alone, I love that we saw Thor being king in a very diplomatic, servant minded way. And that's the vibe that I want from Thor. If Thor's going to be king, I want this kind of double page spread. Did you have any
Yeah.
thoughts on us returning to Asgard, Alex?
I mean, I'm always in favor of Thor stories that take place on Asgard. But yeah, we get like the beautiful like Asgard skyline, and then we have these individual panels that kind of highlight the different like the multiple conversation like topics that we're discussing.
We tie up some
But
things. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah, and Al Ewing really balances Thor's power and his like political diplomacy sides very well. That it's not like jarring to see him like this because he's also slipping into like Odin's sleep.
Right. And he says that to Amora being a reason he's like, hey, can we like make this quick because I'm exhausted. Um,
Yeah.
well, Alex, I'm not even going to try to explain what this conversation is. Can you just, for listeners, because you're very accustomed to this character and you've been following this run with like a fine tooth comb, picking through it for all
Yes.
these different things. Can you just walk us through this conversation and
Of
what
course.
and I'll try to ask helpful follow-up questions that listeners might be asking. But walk us through this conversation that Thor has with Amor.
So Thor, of course, gets told by Sif that he has an appointment, and he gets back to what I assume is his like private quarters.
Yeah, this is not a throne room by any
Yeah,
stretch.
no, it's his private quarters that I'm not sure is in the palace or if it's just an offshoot. Fun fact, Amora actually owns her own palace on Asgard,
Hmm.
but we rarely ever see it. We've seen it like once or twice.
Okay.
But anyways, he walks in and Amora's there with a cup of mead
Yeah.
because she's helped herself to his alcohol.
Full on day drinking.
Yeah, which good for her.
Good for
She
her.
deserves it. She
Yes.
deserves to day drink. And so Thor, of course, is skeptical, and Amora says she's there. She's doing a roundabout way to get to the point, like she usually does.
Yeah.
But she talks about wanting to look at his axe, and she mentions, I didn't have time to admire it when it was buried in Dario's back, which is like twisting the knife.
It's yeah, something that Thor's not even responsible for. She's just like
Um, mm, but I still love the interaction with Sif, how it's like you let her in and it's like you didn't tell me not to let her in.
yes, you didn't tell me not to. Oh, I love it.
Um,
When she even says,
but
is admittance into the golden realm up to person? It's not up to personal feelings, or is it? And I love that
because she
little,
knows what
like,
happened. Yeah,
yeah, the little
she knows
seed
what
of
happened with Loki.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But yeah, so we do get an exchange between Sif and Amora briefly, which I am happy about. And I am happy that Al Ewing references Amora's past with Heimdall because that is one of my favorite storylines that really should have been given more time to it. Um, and it speaks to Amora's depth as a character. But Sif basically says she's in no mood to fight with Amora because of the way that Heimdall felt about Amora,
Hmm.
which I feel like is very, very sweet. Um, because Heimdall and Amora, it was this whole thing. It's kind of funny, but kind of sad. The way that Amora rescued Heimdall from nearly dying. I think this was the DeFalco run, I believe.
Okay,
And so she's like Amora has this thing where she's afraid of commitment, and
Okay.
it's very obvious that she's afraid of commitment. However, she yearns for commitment, which is like, girl, please, for the
She
love of everyone, figure it out.
figure this out.
Because she wants to feel like love and affection, but she's afraid of feeling love and affection. And
Yeah.
it's this whole dynamic that keeps going around and around and around, which is why she tends to keep people at a distance. But her romance with Heimdall is she saves his life. And there's this one exchange where Heimdall is recovered and he's back being the watcher of, the realms and everything. And Amora shows up. And she's kind of like, hey, I saved your life. Where's my reward?
Hmm.
And Heimdall goes, well, I can't offer you anything except my love. So he basically proposes marriage to her. And she stops and she looks at him and she goes, are you mad? Like, are you insane?
Are you crazy, dude?
Yeah, literally. He proposes marriage to Amora the Enchantress for saving his life because she's like, I want a reward. And he's like, you can marry me and that can be the reward. She's like, on second thought, I don't want the reward.
You know what? I've changed my
So,
mind, actually.
yeah, which is funny because she was literally crying about wanting, I think the exact line is wanting a love that is all consuming. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm good. Anyways,
Interesting.
so yeah, her past with Heimdall is a very interesting dynamic because she also takes him to one of her old friends that's a thief that's in like the slums of Asgard or something, like the
Interesting.
back alleys of Asgard. It's very interesting. But anyways, going back to we see, Sif mention this past with Heimdall, and so she has some, not friendly feelings towards Amora, but indifference, essentially.
Okay.
And then we finally get into this conversation with Thor and Amora, which I love this little sit down fireside chat here. But she also like Amora being Amora, as soon as Sif like is walking out of the door, she's not even fully gone yet. She's still walking out of the door. Amora goes, yeah, she's being generous. I didn't think she'd forgive me for all those mean things I said about Bill. By the way, how are they doing? Are they still together?
And she knows they're not. Like,
She's fully aware that they're not.
oh gosh. She's like,
And even Thor is like, Amora,
can we stick to the point, please?
it's like, can we get to the point? And then she still goes on, and then she's like, but what about you and Sif? Or
Yeah.
are you and everyone else kind of like she's like feeling the waters.
And she's this is her at full peak pot stirrer. She's stirring the pot. She knows it. She's there for another reason, but she's like, while I'm here, I might as well screw up some stuff. Or at
Yeah,
least
and
get
I feel
people to
like
be in their feels about things.
yeah, and this is part of like the way that she is. Because she's trying to gauge the situations depend so that she knows what will work and what will not work,
Right.
which I think is very, very interesting. But of course, Thor is like, he doesn't have time for this. He's got the Odin sleep that's coming on. And he's like, just tell me what you want. And he puts Mjolnir down. And we get this shot where he puts it down and Amora looks at it. And she's kind of giving this face. It's
Hmm.
like, mm,
Interesting.
yeah.
I feel like the next two pages really do need some explanation because
Yes.
we're still not even to the point of her visit yet.
Oh no, she's just still rattling off day drinking his liquor. And
And
I
we don't know that
gotta, I've,
that probably isn't her first one she's had, so she's just feeling
oh
it.
no. Oh no, she's 100% like at least 2 or 3 cups deep. But she goes on to say, like, I thought Scourge explained it well, that, and Thor's like, are you coming to plead Scourge's case that he should have the hammer and the axe and the belt so that he can save Thor from some coming danger? And Thor kind of has this like existential moment where he's talking about how everything is his burden to carry.
Right.
And he goes on to say, like, Odin burdens me. Loki burdens me with riddles. Even his own mother is burdening him with things, and even Bori burdens him with things. And
Right.
he's just so tired of it. He's so tired of other people deciding his fate and trying to like steer him in the right direction. And Amora, she kind of plays into this and she tells him, like, she gives him her word that out of everyone who cares for you, and I still do, Thor, I will never try to save you from danger. And she does this by placing her drink down for the first time and falling into Thor's lap in the most, oh no,
Oh
I've
no.
tripped.
Oh no. My gosh. My footing was so
It's
bad.
it reminds me of when she in her first appearance, she goes to Don Blake and she's like,
Oh,
my hand, it hurts, hold
yes.
it.
Yes.
She's
That is
like,
such
my
a great
hand,
callback.
please hold my hand. She just craves to just be near this man. It's actually quite funny. But I actually do love this next page a lot because it says so
Me
much.
too.
And the way that Thor looks at Amora, it's not in like annoyance. He genuinely is enjoying this interaction. And so she tells him, I'll never, save you from danger. And Thor's like, oh, I know. Kind of like a, yeah,
I
you're not getting your hands dirty.
didn't meet you yesterday. No, I'm very
Yeah.
familiar.
But he talks about like, but is that a dance we two should do again? Because Thor and Amora have this push and pull, and they kind of have this flirting moment where she's like, we know all the steps by heart to the dance. And Thor is flirting back, laughing, talking about like Sif might walk in with her sword drawn and save me from your, basically enchanted kiss. And Amora, being coy, goes, what kiss? Before they share a kiss. Um,
And her response is even better. Like
yeah, it's feeling encircled, nay.
foiled again.
Yeah, Amora's charms enchant the people around her so that they are drawn to her. But we've seen in the past that her and Thor, it doesn't work the way that it works on other people, that it works with Thor.
Yeah. Well, and now especially I don't, they haven't outright said this, but he is the All Father now, so he's even more powerful. And
Yeah.
they probably he would have to be incredibly willing to be in that situation, um, as opposed to it just working by proximity. He would actually have to probably want to be there, and for all intents and purposes, he wants to be in this conversation.
Yeah. He's not like trying to fight against like mental power or something.
Right.
So it's like it's a genuinely sweet moment where they're both kind of like, "Oh, should we? Maybe we shouldn't."
Yeah. But then we over the next 3 pages we quickly get to the purpose of like why Amora is there in the first place, because we've preambled enough, much like a lot of
Yeah.
episodes of Across the Bifrost. We preambled way too much, and we finally get to the payoff. Thor's like, okay, come on, like let's get to it. So Alex, why is Amora here in Thor's quarters? Why has she wanted this audience with the Allfather?
So she mentioned it before in one of my favorite interactions with Thor, where she first showed up absolutely enraged. Because according to Amora, which I'll get into like the metaphorical of it in a
Okay.
minute, but according to Amora, she blames all of the death of her loved ones, the ones that she holds most dear, on Thor because he mentioned that he'll never let an Asgardian die without like honor or something or another in one of the earlier issues. I believe it was issue 9
Okay.
where we get that interaction. And Amora is here to kind of coax Thor into almost resurrecting her son
Right.
because Eric in the Strange Academy finale died for no reason. I'm not going to get into it.
For
He
no
literally didn't die.
reason.
He literally didn't die for any reason. It was just we need to kill off a character, and I feel like they did it. But whatever. We're not going to get into
Okay.
my qualms with that. Which I'm still convinced that these twins are Thor's kids, but we're not going to get into that.
Okay.
Well, because Amora would not just have kids with a random palace guard. I'm sorry, Scotty Young. I do not agree with you. You've said it multiple times. No, it's just a random. I don't care what you say. I don't believe it.
There's so many specific men in her history. Why would she just like
Random
back up with
palace
some
guard.
rando?
Anyways, but yeah, she kind of wants Thor to resurrect her dead son, and he goes, I can't really do that, which makes sense because it's against the laws of like nature, essentially, to try and bring back someone who's died.
Unless you're an
But
X-Men in the Krakoan age, then you just
oh,
do it like
yeah.
every single issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Thor gives a good
Um,
reason here because like like he does ascend to Valhalla. So like, what are you
mhm.
bringing him back for? To me, I almost read this, and tell me if I'm way off base here, but it almost read like if you bring him back from that like earned just reward, it feels like it's more about you wanting him to be brought back than him actually needing to be brought back.
Oh, 100%.
Okay,
And
I'm glad
I'm
that
not
I
sure if,
read that
yeah.
accurately.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I mentioned it in previous Amora issue episodes I've been on, but Amora blaming Thor for every like wrongful death in her life is kind of sad when you think about it because Thor is meant to be this hero that is capable of saving the day every single time. And
Right.
Amora recognizes that, but whenever she needed Thor, he wasn't there. And so that's
Yep.
why she blames him because Thor is there for everyone else. And when she needed him most, with the death of Scourge, with the death of Heimdall, with the death of her son, he wasn't there. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
what's your purpose then? If you're not supposed to be a hero to Asgard to save Asgardians from like certain doom, why are you even doing what you're doing? And
Yeah.
that's kind of her like thought process with it.
Which I totally get, and it's like you could insert a bit of logic here where it's like, well, there's thousands
Yeah.
of Asgardians. There's millions of however many people there are that Thor is in charge of. He's the only Avenger that's in charge of an entire nine realms of a kingdom, and in charge of guarding Midgard. There's so much for him to do, so it's like, yes, does Amora have a legitimate gripe? Absolutely. But
Hmm.
does the logic kind of fall apart? Then every Asgardian that's ever lost someone should be mad at him. Every
Oh, yeah.
Midgardian that's ever lost should be mad at him. I think the way you explain that really helps highlight the pressure that's on Thor to be all things to all people at all times.
Yeah, and that's like Amora's point of view, and her point of view is always going to be flawed because
True.
she's she's just yeah, it's just an always flawed perception that Thor even tries to break her out of in like the Secret Wars one shot with her. He tries to help her out of it, and she's her perspective like holds strong.
Yeah. It's very embedded in who almost really who she is at this point.
Yeah, and she mentions to Thor, she's like, if it was your child, wouldn't you try and do what I'm doing? And she's like, I do care for you, Thor. And it was never about revenge. And Thor goes, not for you, or I, perhaps, but you say that you hold Roxxon's leash, yet will not control its hunger. And he's like, you have to be sure about that, Amora. Because right now she's a CEO,
Right.
entrepreneur, paving the way, you know,
Yes.
women in STEM.
Women in STEM, yes.
You know, and this conversation leads us into this final big reveal with
Yes.
Thor talking about Amora holding Roxxon's leash, but she has to be sure that she doesn't loosen that leash. In the fact that Dario Agger is back, he's been resurrected
Yes.
once again. This is what, time three?
Uh, Easily, at least. And Roxxon is the big mega corporation who they always have a way. They always have a way to bring people back, and especially Dario. Dario is such an interesting glimpse into CEOs and billionaires of even the real world. But I think Dario has one of the best lines of the issue as he closes it out, and I'll just read it as we close out here, and we'll share some final thoughts before we hop out of here. Dario says, the gods killed Dario Agger, so I think it's only fair that Dario Agger kills the gods, don't you? I'm very interested to see how he's going to accomplish this because he's tried it a few times. So
God, I'm
what's
so
different about this
stressed.
attempt? And then we see on the big the last page we see Return of the King. So that kind of that double entente of the return of Thor to Asgard, but also the return of Dario Agger in this new cloned body.
Oh my God.
Alex,
I,
your what are some of your final thoughts on 15? It was a big issue for your
yes.
reading tastes, particular. What were kind of your final impressions of this issue?
I don't know why, but I have the feeling that Al Ewing might give us a Thor and Amora team up, which I
Ooh,
hope that he does, because they're kind of at this like equal grounding. They've had this conversation. Now we haven't addressed that she framed him for murder, and he's currently wanted for murder because it's caught on camera. He was caught in 4K killing a guy. Um,
caught in 4K
and
killing a
yeah,
guy.
and she still owns his entire existence. So,
Right. You got to
so
resolve that
there's
little chestnut.
yeah, there's still a lot there, but also I'm terrified that I don't think Al Ewing will do it,
Okay.
but I'm terrified that he might try to kill off Amora
Interesting.
and give her a self-sacrificing moment. And
Okay.
I don't think he'll do it,
But you would
but
be shocked if he did.
I would also be heartbroken if he did. But
But
because with Dario coming back, he's gonna want revenge for what Amora did because he
oh,
knows what Amora did to
for
him.
sure. For sure.
So I'm just nervous as well about that aspect of it.
You know what? I totally get that. They haven't even introduced Ulick the troll for me to get upset about it yet. So watch, Ulick will get like one panel this entire run, and it'll be my favorite panel of the entire series. My final thoughts are all the things we shared in here, and we have gone. This is a little bit of a longer breakdown of the issue because there was just so much narrative goodness in here to break down, and we're capping off one story and then we're returning to a previous story, and then we've got the Dario thing launching off. One thing I love about this run is we've gotten several layers to things, and I love a Thor story that has different layers and things are happening in the background, in the foreground, and that mid ground. Things are always happening, and I like it when we have a run where it's not just linear and it's not just Thor's perspective. And this issue
Yeah.
felt like the issue that I really wanted and needed to have. So really enjoyed the issue. But also, one last thing. Last issue, I ended up in a letters page. That was a huge deal. I loved it. I'm going to get that framed very, very soon. This
Beautiful.
issue, our guy, the Fast Guardian, got in a letters page, and he was uber excited about it. And he should be, because now, I don't know if you
Yes.
noticed, Alex, but now Faz and I can say that we're published Marvel writers because we wrote a letter that was published in a Marvel comic. Have you ever
That
submitted a
is
letter
true.
to get published?
I've never submitted a letter. I know a friend of mine, um, we call them Ickle, which yes is Ickle from Loki Agent of Asgard, but because they cosplay, like they make all of their Loki cosplays, and they've
Okay.
cosplayed about 20 different versions of Loki that they've made themselves.
Wow.
Yeah, and they wrote in to Al Ewing back in Agent of Asgard and sent in a picture of their cosplay, and it's actually in one of the comics.
Wow. That's
So that's
awesome.
they also met Al Ewing, which I'm a bit mad at. And they're also the reason why Loki's unofficial birthday is December 17th, but that's a whole different story.
That's
Well,
amazing.
okay.
That's
If I
amazing.
quickly, I can give the Cliff Notes version. They
Yeah.
met Al Ewing at a convention and they asked him, when's Loki's birthday? Al Ewing then replied, when do you think it is? And my friend said, December 17th. And so it became an unofficial thing because come December 17th, my friend was on, I think it was Tumblr or something, and they like um recounted that tale and Al Ewing reposted it. So it's like an
That's
official,
crazy.
unofficial birthday for Loki because of my friend Ickle. Shouts out. Um,
That is
but
awesome.
but yeah, so I have the draft of the email that has nothing in it right now, sitting in my inbox, just waiting to be typed.
Oh, you have to. You
Yes,
have,
I
especially talk
have
about
to.
this issue.
Yes, I was kind of waiting for this issue to write in because I didn't want to be like, oh my God, like say something and then it just like completely fall
Right.
apart. But I'm hoping that if I send it this weekend, come issue 17, maybe they'll, fingers crossed, post it in issue
Oh,
17 so that I can have an Amora variant cover with my letter in it.
oh my
So,
goodness. And we know a few people who listen. We know a few people in the hierarchy who listen to this. So,
mm,
hey, if you're somebody that's involved in putting this comic together, just saying, you don't have to do us any favors, but that would be pretty freaking cool.
that would be
Uh,
really cool.
So moving forward, we loved Faz's letter. Faz, of course, writes about design and the costumes and things like that. And Al gets back to him. He's like, as I've said multiple times before, I was probably getting tired of answering the same question multiple times. But hey, at least people are wanting to write in letters and have things to say about this run, which is fantastic. I'm gonna probably be writing up a new letter sometime soon. But let's real quickly before we head out here and we do all of our plugs here. I'll just tell you guys what's coming up in Immortal Thor 16. We have another fantastic Alex Ross cover that features Chen Lu, the radioactive man. I am so beyond excited to go back to, Thor fighting commies. It's going to be so much fun.
Let's
Um,
go.
and the little blurb says, "A blast from the past. In Asgard, Thor weighed his obligations as Allfather and as Gaia's child, and he owed both sides of his nature. Love that. While on Earth, a risen evil sought new gods to challenge the old and found them in Thor's earliest foes. This is the story of the immortal Thor and the radioactive man." I am bonkers excited for that. The first line is kind of like what I've always wanted is, like, hey, let's see him wrestle with it. But then the next one, Dario kind of getting these old classic villains together. I'm Alex, I'm so excited for that. If like,
Oh yeah,
if we see like
it's great.
if we see Cobra or Mr. Hyde or like just all the
Oh my
just
God.
archaic ones that maybe don't fit in modern storytelling. The Dario's like, I'm getting my own personal masters of evil together to fight against Thor and fight against, Amora and Roxxon. I cannot wait. It's going to be so good. I'm so excited for it. Any thoughts on 15 as we have it coming up pretty soon in the beginning of October?
I'm just looking forward to see if Amora is going to be in it. Right now, it doesn't seem like it just because we don't know anything. But honestly, I'm looking forward to like old, kind of obscure villains coming
Please.
back for this run. and I'm just here for the ride at this point.
It's going to be fantastic. We hope we have much, much, much to geek out over and talk about the next time we come to you guys. We are this week the Immortal Thor 15 came out. Also, the Disney and Marvel's What If Donald Duck Became Thor also came out. We were going to talk about that on this issue with another friend of the podcast, Joshua Knoll, who is going to be with us at Theology Beer Camp this year. But Joshua had something come up. Technically, he wasn't able. His technology was just kind of bad to him, so we had to adjust our plan. We're going to be launching an episode with that issue because Joshua's a big Disney fan. He's going to help us break down that issue coming up very soon. But guys, if you want to check us out on Instagram, we are at Marvel Thor Podcast. If you want to help support the show on Patreon, click the link in the episode description, and that will get you where you need to be. You'll also enjoy some pre-games. We have 15 extra minutes of Walt Simonson conversation on our Patreon. Yeah, Alex, we do. There was nothing better than talking to Walt Simonson about the movie Tommy Boy. That is what we talked about. We talked about a few other things.
Oh my God.
But 15 extra minutes with Walt is what we have up there. That gets you all the bonus conversations we've had. We're almost up to 50 pre-games. So we have plenty for people to enjoy over on Patreon. And we even released a little bit of an extra episode with Faz and Will doing some nonsense that you're just going to have to go check it out. Click the link in the episode description. You can join us on Discord, join the conversation. Alex hangs out there. Usually on New Comic Book Day, we have a flurry of conversations about tons of different things that are happening. We have a good little crew over there. So click the other episode link, or other link in the episode description for that. And for myself, for Alex, until next time, everybody, we hope that whatever you're doing, wherever you're at, whether you're going to do what Alex and I are going to do after we're done, we're going to be watching some football today because we're recording this on a Saturday morning. We're going to go enjoy some football. But whatever you're doing, remember to do one thing, and that is to stay worthy.
Whosoever holds this hammer, if it be worthy, shall possess the power of